Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go over a few articles. The first one is global food prices to hit fresh decade high. Global supply chains simply will not be able to keep up with even more stimulus. And this is one of the reasons why shortages are here to stay permanently, ladies and gentlemen. They are here to stay permanently. Okay, we'll talk about that. And the last thing we'll talk about is one of the reasons why I think that 2025 is going to be the apex. Is going to be the year where you have to be sure 100% that you are completely prepared. Here it says Beijing will have full ability to invade Taiwan by 2025. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of things going on in 2025. By 2025, I feel that inflation will be so high that most people will be spending 50%, if not more, of their money on just food and energy. So let's go ahead and start off with the first one. Global food prices hit fresh decade high. Here it says global food prices are outrageously high and things don't look to be changing anytime soon. Early Thursday, Rome-based Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, released monthly data on the state of food prices that showed global food prices rose for a second consecutive month in September to reach a new decade high. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. I've been screaming this out the top of my lungs for the last several years, and here we are. And the bad thing about this is that it's only getting started. This is just the beginning. Today I am going to do a prep run again. Why? Because I know we're going to need this food in the future. And I know that this food that we're going to get is not going to be any less expensive in the future as it is right now. Today is the best time to prepare, ladies and gentlemen, because tomorrow things will be more expensive. And here they are telling us. The FAO, a measure of the monthly change in international prices of a basket of food commodities, including cereals, oils, dairy, meat, and sugar, rose by 1.2% in September to 130 points and 32.8% higher than September of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear 1.2% rise in 1 month, some people may not think that that's a lot, but that's really a lot. When you take that 1.2% and multiply it times 12, that's 14% for the year. But it's even more than that, because it's 1.2% higher than it was last month. And then next month, whatever it rises is that percentage higher than what it was this month. So it's really more than 14.4% when you multiply that 1.2% out over 12 months. So things are not going to get any cheaper, ladies and gentlemen, and especially those things that we really need. Compound soaring freight costs on land and sea, along with supply chain disruptions, have left some grocery chains with no other choice but to raise prices and or to leave shelves bare as food shortages persist. An executive of Kroger, one of the largest U.S. supermarket chains, warned, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, that grocery prices are set to move even higher as inflation sets in. So now the shortages that we're having in freight containers, in truck drivers, all of those prices have pretty much already set into the price of everything. Now we are going to go ahead and add to that the inflation of money that has been created and put out into the system. Because inflation, ladies and gentlemen, is a leading indicator. Meaning that if they print $1 trillion today out of nothing and they put it out into the economy, you're not going to feel it right away. It takes a few months for the economy to actually feel that extra money in it. So now inflation is catching up to all of these other problems that we have that have caused a rise in prices, and it's going to get even worse. And it says here that inflationary pressures prompted the White House to acknowledge that poor families were spending too much of their income on food and necessary items, and that is why they decided to go ahead and pump up the SNAP benefits by 25%, which, as you can all see, and we've talked about this before, that 25% still keeps the average family who depend on SNAP benefits with their heads underwater. Because as you can see up here, the inflation for this year, just for food, year on year, is 32.8%. And I would argue that it's even higher than that. Besides rising demand, some of which has been artificially produced by massive amounts of fiscal and monetary stimulus, bad weather, and supply chain disruptions, there could be another emerging issue that may pressure food prices even higher. That is the soaring cost of energy. So now to all of this, add the soaring cost of energy. And for us here in the United States, why is that? And also in the UK. We all know that the UK is having difficulties with shortages of fuel and the prices of fuel and energy going up. A lot of that have been self-induced, but I can talk about here in the United States, how has that been self-induced? We are going to be paying more money for energy, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we are shutting everything down. We are shutting our production of oil down, which is something that is necessary in everything. Ladies and gentlemen, everything that we consume is energy, and it requires energy to make it. Energy is something that cannot be created or destroyed. It has to be transferred from one to another. So for example, if you want to get an ear of corn, that energy has to come from somewhere. For that energy in the corn to be there, it had to have come from somewhere else. And it doesn't all come from the sun. So once we start shutting down, as we have been, all of the energy production here in the US, not only is everything else going to get more expensive, but it's going to become a lot more difficult for the average family to live. I've stated this in the past. In my opinion, what they want, their agenda, is to make everyone in the world equal, except for those on top. And for everyone in the world to have an equal standard of living, ladies and gentlemen, us here in the United States and in the Western countries, we're going to have to drop our standard of living. And that is what is happening right now, ladies and gentlemen, at least in the United States. The standard of living of the average person, of the average family, is dropping significantly. Global supply chains simply will not be able to cope with even more stimulus. I don't even have to read this article, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that. I mean, right now, the global supply chains are pretty stretched as it is. But add more free money into it, add more money into the pot, making more money available to buy the same or lesser amount of goods, that's only going to make things more expensive. What's this saying, ladies and gentlemen? It's saying that if the government puts more money into the system, that there is going to be more demand. Because the more money there is, the more demand there is. The more free stuff there is, the more demand there is. Go ahead and do an experiment at work. All right, if you have a 9-to-5 job, put a jar of candy on your desk and put the sign, "Please have one," and see how long it takes for that jar of candy to empty out. And then once that jar of candy empties out, go ahead and fill it back up with candy and put a sign, "Please have one for 25 cents," and then put a little cup next to it. The meaning that every time someone takes a candy out of there, they have to put 25 cents into the cup. And then see how long it takes for that jar of candy to empty out. I don't have to be a magician or a prophet, but I guarantee you that the jar of candy that is limited to only one for 25 cents will take a lot longer to empty out than the one where the candy is just free. Meaning that when something is free, when there is free money in the system, i.e. stimulus, and we all know it's not free. We all pay for it in the end. But the mentality of the average layman out there thinks, yes, this is free money. Let me get it. Even though every day they go to the store, they see prices of everything going up and not really knowing why the price of everything is going up. Well, it's that stimulus. It's that free money. As we keep getting more stimulus into the system and more money into the system, things will continue to get more expensive. And they go on to say global food prices in September already leaped again according to the FAO, which is the article that we just read. And energy prices are up too as well. The White House did not release strategic oil reserves as some had thought it would. WTI oil sits at $78.84 at the time of writing this article. Ladies and gentlemen, I see by this time next year, and it's why I'm trying to get my own fuel reserves. Remember, I say to go ahead and create your own miniature infrastructures. Well, I'm going to try to create my own fuel reserves. I'm going to go ahead and I've already ordered it, so they're coming in to fill up an additional couple of tanks that I have that will give me an additional year of heating here. So that's what you need to do. You need to take a look at the infrastructures that you rely on and try to create your own miniature infrastructures of those same things. Be it for water, be it for food, be it for electricity, be it for heating, energy, anything. Try to create your own miniature infrastructures. That way when the system does go down, or when it becomes unbearable for you to be able to purchase something because prices are so high, you will have that buffer between you and the broken down system. It says here, why are shortages permanent? Global supply shortages make fantastic financial sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to read this article, but right here, if you read this, it makes sense. Why are global supply shortages permanent? Almost everything that we rely on, food, water, energy, all of those things that we rely on in order to live, it's all monopolized. The government and governments have created a system in which only the big guys can win. So when they create laws and regulations, what do? They create them so that only the big guys can win. It's just like I said on my previous live stream. These big corporations, did any of them close down? Did any of them shut down due to mandates back in 2020? None of them did. Sure, they had, you have to, stand apart so many feet, you have to wear face coverings, all this kind of stuff. But did any of them shut down? But did your mom and pop shops shut down? So the government creates these laws and regulations that allows, and they are able to pick who wins and loses. And now that there is a monopoly on almost everything that we need in order to live, food, water, energy, even housing. I mean, BlackRock has been buying houses like crazy, outbidding regular, families by 20 to 50%. There's a monopoly almost on everything that we need. So do you think that these monopolies are going to keep prices high, or they're going to let prices go down? They own it. They own it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you prepare now. Prepare today. Get all those things that you need. Slow and steady wins the race. If you don't have $10,000 to go out there and buy everything that you're going to need in abundance for the next year or two, then slow and steady wins the race. Trust me, for those of you that are going at it slow and steady, you are way better off than I would say 90% of the American population. And ladies and gentlemen, 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. It says here, Beijing will have full ability to invade Taiwan by 2025, Defense Minister warns. I can tell you right now how we, just the United States, just how Australia and how the UK or Europe can divert this from ever happening. Stop exporting to China. Stop exporting to China. Because China is prepping. If I had to choose one country that was prepping the most, it's China. They've been buying. Nobody calls China hoarders. Have you noticed that? That nobody calls China a hoarder? They've been buying as much food and as much everything as they possibly can for the last couple of years, 3 years maybe. This year, I heard this, don't quote me on this, but I think I heard this from Adapt 2030, David Dubine. He said that this year China is only going to be able to harvest about 25% of their crop due to weather, due to floods, due to mainly natural events, freezes, things like that. So where are they going to get all that food? Well, we can stop it. I'm not saying to allow them to starve, but don't allow them to prep, because it's with the preps that they get that they will become strong enough to do these mischievous things that they are planning to do, especially with Taiwan. And I think that they own South Korea now. I think that South Korea has been silenced. I think they own them now. So that is one way that I feel that they can be stopped. But if they keep getting prepped up by 2025, not only will we here in this country be having a very tumultuous year. Can you just imagine what the United States of America is going to look like on November of 2024? Or on January of 2025? Can you imagine what it's going to look like here? It doesn't matter which way it goes, it's going to be bad internally. So do you really think that we will have, what it takes in order to fully dedicate our military to something like this happening? when it's going to be so crazy within our own nation. And not only that, by 2025, ladies and gentlemen, I think that food shortages will be a reality in the physical form, meaning that there will be scarcity, not just prices that are high, but scarcity. I remember during our last live stream, I was talking about silver, and somebody said that, I think they were quoting a Bible verse saying that one day you're going to need a sack of gold in order to buy a sack of wheat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the way things are now, it kind of like resembles that. Sure, you don't need a sack of gold. You don't need a pound of gold to buy a pound of wheat. But look at the prices of everything going up. And remember what I told you what money is. Money is your labor and your time. So the more and more that prices go up, and the less and less that your salaries or your wages are able to keep up with inflation, the more gold that you're spending on that food that you're buying. And it's only going to get worse from here. I keep saying it's only going to get worse. You know why? Because it's true. It's only going to get worse. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so stock it to the rafters. Stock it to the rafters. Do everything that you can to find some more room. I actually found a great place to store an additional, several hundred pounds of rice and beans. I'm not going to disclose that right now, but I found a great place where I can store an additional 300, I would say, to 500 pounds of rice and beans. And to me, that's awesome. Because remember, 150 pound of rice alone is about 84,000 calories. That'll feed one person for 2 months. Roughly 2 months. So prep it up, ladies and gentlemen. Keep prepping. Don't stop. Slow and steady wins the race. And definitely stock it up to the rafters. Having said that, I hope that you all join in this afternoon during our Friday live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be an open forum. So we're just going to chit chat, have a little bit of fun, and enjoy the fact that it is Friday. Having said that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.